I want to start out just explaining why 95% of wholesalers fail and really answering like, why do they fail, right? Because I know Richard's got a lot of people in his audience that like, they be honest with you, they get in there, they get excited, and then they fail. And my favorite part is watching people like they'll follow you. I'm not saying, I know this has happened to you. It's happened to me a million times. They follow you or whatever, they join your Discord, and then a month later, someone makes a comment, I joined Richard's TikTok, his Discord, and it sucks. It doesn't work. And then everyone assumes you're terrible. And then you look the guy up and you're like, well, he never joined one stream. He never even asked me one question. And he commented one thing. And it's like, well, is it you suck? Is the guy suck? And like, what is it? And there's a lot of variables to it. In my opinion, I'm a little different, right? Because the course that I have is absolutely for free. I mean, $20 a month is really nothing if you really look at it. But like, still looking at it, like I still get people that say, oh, Zach's info sucks. That's why he's not rich. Or that's why I'm not rich or can't be successful. And the truth is, it's never about you, right? There's only two reasons that I personally found, I'll start, of why people fail. It's either their knowledge is off, their information is off, or their action is off. And for most of the time, it's always the action. But some people legitimately, I'll give it, they try really hard, but they don't know who you are on IR. They don't know who like the good info is. They just go to like a bad influencer, and that's the reason they fail. But I think if you watch me or watch you, the real reason is action. That's what I found. The info's there.
Dude, I see, it's interesting. An idiot with a plan is oftentimes more likely to succeed than somebody who's really analytical, somebody who's really, really intelligent, the guy who got really good grades in school. Because in school, you read the directions. It's like, this is the assignment, read the directions, execute. I always did poorly in school because I just wasn't very good at that. But I'll tell you, without naming names, I've got a guy right now who's very highly educated, super intelligent. And he's just getting bodied by my 12-year-old student, Anson. And the reason he's getting bodied, I mean, there's two reasons. The first is analysis paralysis. I see a lot of you guys jump into this business and you think you need to know everything. And in reality, my biggest recommendation for anybody who gets into this business, I want you to get emotionally abused on the phone by a realtor. I want that to happen for you. I want you to call a realtor and I want the realtor to scream at you. And then again, and then again. And after the third time that the realtor screams at you, you're bulletproof to all of it. If you get like a little bit of in a tiny little scuffle on the phone and you're like, okay, whatever. But if you start crying after your phone call, dude, that is going to do a lot for your success. You can't analyze this stuff. The only way that you learn is through failure. If you think about it, if you succeed at something, did you learn anything? No, you're just like, oh, perfect, great, excellent, it worked. But if you're just destroyed on the phone, and I mean really destroyed, and it happens over and over again, you eventually get to this point where you're like, I don't really care. And honestly, my favorite thing to compare this to is, have you ever gone outside in the rain? And at first you go outside and you're like, I really don't want to get wet. This is really uncomfortable. And then, 15 minutes in, you're completely soaked in water and you're like, oh, you know what? This is kind of nice. I don't really care. I really just don't care. It's like that, guys. If you tiptoe out into the rain, you're going to have a bad day. If you run out into the rain, embrace it. It's going to be bad for about 10 minutes. And then afterwards, you're going to be okay. The analytical people typically fail. The people who just jump into it and maybe they don't even understand what they're doing, but at least they take imperfect action. Those are the ones I see succeeding. So don't be afraid to make your first phone call. It's not going to be pleasant. Just do it. And you're going to have an amazing result because of it. So I think 95% of wholesalers fail for a number of reasons. Mm-hmm. Analysis paralysis being the first one. The second one I'd say is inaction. A lot of people see the luxuries that come along with this business and the life that you live, and they imagine that's really nice. I'd really like that. And then they just don't actually take action. But it's kind of 50-50 analysis paralysis, the people who really want to take action and they're taking action studying, and then the people who just jump into it. But you also got those individuals who sign up for the gym and never show up to the gym, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah. I think that's the best example. Sign up for the gym. Don't go to the gym because it's like, well, you signed up. The gym sucks. It's not really that. One other example I'll give is just like how muscles are built. or even running because your heart's a muscle. It's like the only way your muscles get bigger is if you destroy them, like micro tears, and then it grows back stronger. Kind of mentally, mental health's important, and I'm not saying to be utterly traumatized, but I don't really think anything in wholesaling is going to utterly traumatize you. It's going to hurt, right? You get rejection, you have fear talking to a seller over the phone, talking to a realtor on the phone. There's fear, there's mini trauma, I guess, in your brain, but like you get better from that. The greatest men and women that I know personally know, right? They've been through a lot of crap in their life, like a lot, like really bad stuff. And it's how they overcame those things that have just made them really good. I've often found the kindest, sweetest, nicest men that I've ever found have been through the most insane part. Like I'll give you an example of one guy I know. He is one of the nicest people I know, like sweetest person. He's got great wisdom, and his son died, right? And him getting through that has made him just a better person. Now, of course, he'd never want that to happen, but like because that happened, he is sweet and nice to every single person. And most of the mean people have just never been through it. And when they've never been through it, they're just mean to everyone. They just don't understand that other people will be going through tough things in life too. And it's kind of the same thing in wholesaling. If you really haven't had dirt thrown in your face, really dealt with annoying sellers and lost deals and all these things, just you're bad with it, right? Dude, I think I know you're going through it right now, right? When you're getting, you absolutely got a deal stolen from you, like so annoying. And man, like I saw that on Instagram. I'm like, dude, I've been through that every single month, just with volume.
Oh, the lawsuit type thing.
See,
oh my God, yeah.
I had a similar thing, a $70,000 deal. Had to bring the lawyers in, and then I got it back, right? And I'm like, I see what you're going through, and I'm like, I already know what's gonna happen here. You're gonna get the money, but like, man, once that happens to you like 30 times, you kind of get numb to, okay, just stick the lawyers on them. Okay, we'll deal with it. Tell everyone about that. That I was like, ooh.
Oh my God, we're getting into this. This is the worst part of my week. Yeah. We finally gotten traction on our lawsuit. We had a $27,000 stolen from us. The situation.
No defamation, no name, but
no name. The no name, just on my Instagram. There was an individual in sub 2, a real estate investor, and obviously in any community you're going to have some bad apples. But what happened was, I had a deal in Leavenworth, Kansas. It was a mortgage takeover deal. Situation was seller was asking about $280,000, and they had a mortgage on there of, I don't know, maybe like 260. You guys know the story. It's my typical low equity deal. And the thing is, this was my first deal with an acquisitions manager named Denise. And Denise she is just the sweetest woman. She's just the best. Everybody loves Denise. She's a longtime realtor getting into wholesaling, but she's been in the industry for a long time as well. And she acquires this deal, and we find a buyer for it. The buyer is paying us a $15,000 assignment fee. And honestly, this was me being naive. This is me not knowing that people are going to hurt you if they can. This was like a year and a half ago. You guys got to remember, I really haven't been in this business as long as Zach. I'm still very much learning. I've had some good success, but I'm still learning. And this was definitely a learning lesson. But we're supposed to get a $15,000 assignment fee. And I get a call on the day of closing from the title company saying that the buyer's backing out. So I hop on the phone with the buyer. What's going on, man? And he's like, I'm $8,000 short. I'm $8,000 short. I don't have the money to close on the deal. And I'm like, okay. Do you anticipate on having it in the future? Like, could we push out closing a little bit? And he's like, yeah, I work in medical sales. I have a deal closing in medical sales. That's going to pay me X amount. And I'm like, can you produce documentation for that? Can you show me? And he sends me some stuff. I'm like, okay, this looks legit. So I'm like, I'll tell you what, man, you're getting a payday next month. I will give you the $8,000 you need to close on this deal. And I created a promissory note. I had the note notarized, et cetera, et cetera. And the deal was, I'm going to give you the $8,000. You're going to pay it back to me as in $12,000 in the form of $1,000 per month payments for the next 12 months. On top of that, whenever your medical sales thing hits, you're going to go ahead and give me the assignment fee. So bro owed me the $12,000 for the $8,000 loan that I gave him. And then he also owed me the $15,000 assignment fee. And he flaked on both of them. And that, that was unfortunate. But what was really unfortunate in that scenario was the way that he treated me after that happened. I don't think I've ever experienced anything like that. And that's why I'm doubling down on this so much. At first it was like, oh, I'll get you the money. We'll get you the money. And then this is really strange. You're going to be like, it's very strange. He started getting religious about it. Like, how do you get religious about debt? I don't understand. But he started sending me messages like, if you pray, you will be blessed. And if you're blessed, the money will come. And I'm like, wait, what? What do you mean, bro? And then when I started getting angry, I'm like, dude, you owe me this money. He doubles down on the religious stuff and he's like, be blessed, my brother. Like we're both like walking the same path. And I'm like, dude, like I got to pay my employee. Like I gotta recoup my money and I got to pay my employee. And the angrier I get, the more like righteous he gets about it. And I'm like, in turn, he's a Christian man. And I'm like, bro, isn't there like a commandment where you like don't steal from other people?
Yes,
Like
the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not steal.
Isn't that like one of the
Thou shalt not
things?
steal.
But yeah, eventually I had to block him because it was just infuriating. I'd reach out to him and he's like, essentially just pray about it. He was just telling me to pray about it. And I'm like, okay, you owe me the money. I'm gonna have to sue you, man. And yeah, so he just sort of he then turned it into my issue. I posted a photo of this, but he refers to it as my issue. He wants to help me solve my issue. And he's manipulating and gaslighting in this way that I've never experienced before. Like this strange religious gaslighting, referring to his debt as my issue. And yeah, we were out $27,000. And in this past week or so, my lawyer sent a letter of demand and he got back to us once again, referring to it as my issue. And I let him know because he said, yeah, I'd love to help him repay the promissory note. And I was like, Randy, to be frank with you, that time has passed. I'm not going to be accepting 27,000 from you. We're going to start at $75,000 and see where it goes. So, that's as much as I'll share about that. But it let me know that I'm not going to be lending in the near future. I just the lending on deals thing, man, I got cooked. But we are so far off the trail of this podcast at this point. I think it's interesting just to say the least. But the topic of today's podcast, for how many do you have on TikTok? I have 160 on TikTok right now. But the topic of today's podcast is what causes 95% of wholesalers to fail and what you can do about it. So we went off on a little bit of a tangent.
Man, I just want to let people know like how crazy this business can get. And I think I told you I was on your Discord first ever time. I said this is gonna get. I said this on another. I don't know if I said on yours, but I think I told this to you before. I said, be careful of people that tell you to trust them because of religion. Some of the greatest businessmen that I know are extremely religious, but they will never bring religion into the business. It's just an addition to who they are. The worst people will use religion as the shield to why you should trust me. Never trust somebody that says you should trust me because of religion. It should be reputation plus the religion, not the only, but okay. Why do I
sub two? I love the sub two community. We love the sub two community. Those are some killers. We love the sub two community. And I'm like, this guy's part of a reputable organization. I know he has other doors. He seems to have a stable job. We should be good. But I was 21 years old. I was turning 22 soon, but I was 21 years old and I was making a 21-year-old's decisions. So, it is what it is. I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm trying to improve. Anyways, damn, we gotta break down this topic. And also from the chat, for those of you who are watching right now, what is holding you back? What's holding you back? Because that's gonna give us more ideas for this, because we're spinning our wheels right now. I think the main reason I think the main reason that wholesalers fail is analysis paralysis. That's what I see from the super intelligent wholesalers who have had success in other fields. They really think they need to analyze something. And then also inaction. We have 10,300 members in Hold My Hand Wholesale right now. And when I go live on any given day, I'll start out at about 250 members. And then as the live stream intensifies, because I do live calls on there, you'll probably go up to 350. And the reality is a lot of people ask me, Richard, how soon will it be before I get my first deal? I always answer this question. In reality, man, you probably won't get your first deal. And honestly, it's partly marketing and partly truth. I'm a big fan of the anti-hook. I'm a big fan of like anti-marketing. Like I don't like to promise something. I like to actually do the opposite because I think people are like, no, it's going to be me. I'm going to get my first deal. But at the same time, if 10,300 people were doing deals, I wouldn't be doing a podcast because I'd be a billionaire. In my community, you'd only have about 5 to 10% of people doing deals. And I don't feel embarrassed to tell people that at all. I really don't. And it's because you have 300 people out of 10,000 showing up. That's like 2% of the actual population of my Discord showing up to these live streams. And these are live streams where I give away $50 to $100 a day. You see this wheel spin behind me right now? I've got a little wheel spin on here. You have Apple Watch, you have AirPods. On Friday, I gave away a pair of AirPods. We give away $100 today, all to incentivize people to show up, because if they do show up, I make so much money from the deals that we do together. You present me deals, it builds my portfolio, we sell your deals, but I just can't get people to show up. And the analogy that I'm always using for this is, if you look at the United States, what percent of people are fit? I like to use the fitness example because everybody wants to be fit. It's just like having money. There's only a few universal desires. I think money might be a universal desire, but one thing that is probably a universal desire above money, just across all societies, is being in shape. I don't mean a bodybuilder. I don't mean looking like Zach over here with his big biceps. Not. I mean to say, people want to be healthy because you get more time with your family. You can move around more. You can see the world. But what percent of people are? It's a very small percent.
That's an easy one. I would say about 10% of people that I think are in a gym, 10%, and half of those people are in shape. So I'd say about 5%. There's also skinny people that don't work out, and if they had to run a mile, they couldn't. So what is it? I think 50% obese or overweight. So I just do 5 or 10%.
And it's not to criticize, guys. It really isn't. No. It really isn't. It's simply to paint a picture saying this is a universal desire. Everybody wants this. This is free. There's nothing preventing you. And I just want to stress the point that there is no problem with the way that you look, whatever that may be. But this is something that everybody wants, not just for the aesthetic of it, not just for the beach body of it, for the health of it. Yet how many people actually have it? Here are the things that we know about it. Everybody wants it. It's free. Everybody knows how to get it. But how many people have it? So it's the exact same thing as wholesaling. A lot of people want to start wholesaling. A lot of people want the properties, the portfolio, the results, the freedom, the cash flow. And a lot of people know how to get there. But how many people are actually willing to take the steps to do so? There's a 1% for a reason, guys. So if you ask me, Richard, how soon are you going to get your first deal? I'm going to say statistically, man, you'll probably never get your first deal. I'm going to run these classes. You're probably not going to show up to these classes. But if you do show up to these classes and you're diligent about it, it could be month one. Could be month one for you. It really just depends who you are. So I encourage people to look at their life and look at historically what they have been. And is that somebody who commits to a task and actually finishes it? Or is that somebody who says, you know, I'm gonna start this and then I'm gonna start something else? They get shiny object syndrome. Ooh, cryptocurrency. Ooh, stocks. Ooh, drop shipping. Ooh, wholesaling. If you treat it like that, man, it's just not gonna go well for you. The shiny object syndrome is a really big part of it.
I don't think it's ever information. One example I give you is in my Facebook group. When I was 19 years old, I made this Facebook group. It's called Wholesaling Houses for Real. It's got 147,000 people in it. No one followed me when I first started on that Facebook. I had 100 people in the Facebook group. And so I said, you know what? Screw this. I know there's no one's following me on social media. I said, but I know I'm good at what I do. So I said, hey, every single Friday at 5 p.m., I'm going to do a Zoom with everybody in the Facebook group. Hop on. I'm going to coach you for free. And there's only 10 people. There's always like 11 or 12 people on the Zoom. So 10%, which is really good. And from 19 to 20 years old, it was on average 15, 20 people on a Zoom. Okay. Zach Ginn, 20 years old, teaching you. And there was 10 people that went on every single one. Do you know how many of those people made 100 grand? Is making 100 grand a year? All of them.
11 out of 10.
All of them. All of them. 10 out of 10. So I know it's not the information. And now if I do a live stream, and if you did one, you can't do that, right? But like, it's not the information, guys. Like if you hop on a Zoom with me and I talk to you an hour every single week, you're guaranteed to get a deal. I also asked you this question, Richard, when I first met you. How many calls for the average person to get a creative finance deal with a realtor? I think you said you was what, four or five for you?
Well, this is I can't. I hope I didn't just lose my train of thought. I'm balancing two questions here, and I've already lost. I've lost my previous one, but I'll forget my previous one. I had a great point, and I've lost it. I can't juggle two ideas at once. But how many calls to get a deal? I do this wheel spin behind me right here, and this wheel spin has one item on it, one little triangle that says deal of your choice plus a phone call and email. And one video that I had blow up this month or the past week was me spinning the wheel. I spin the wheel. It lands on deal of your choice, meaning what you want, a cash deal, seller finance deal, subject to deal. What do you want? And essentially the next thing we do on the live stream is we call. And that was a one call close situation, which is why I did so well. I picked up the phone, but I spent about 20 minutes searching. I spent 20 minutes searching for a unique city, because how are you getting a deal on a single phone call? You need to use creative finance in an area where they've never heard of creative finance and there's no bias against creative finance. And then you need to present it in a supernatural way, which obviously we've talked about in our previous episodes on my Discord. But if you try really hard, it's possible to get a one phone call deal, but it's rare. It's extremely rare. So in reality, I would put my conversion rate with 6 conversations, because what will happen is all 6 conversations will say, oh, wow, I think my seller will really like that. And then in reality, you'll have a situation where the realtor will go to the seller and like not explain it correctly. And the seller will say, no, I'll never do that. So in reality, I have 6 conversations. I know one of them is turning into a deal, but only with one method. And I'm going to say taking over people's mortgages. With seller finance, you're going to make a lot more money. It's going to take a little longer, probably 10 phone calls, but the motivation isn't as strong because they're free and clear. When you have a property with no debt on it, your motivation's not that strong. But if you're in a situation where you're maybe in pre-foreclosure, you're going to lose money on the sale of your house. And if I intentionally talk to 6 of those individuals, I know I'm turning something else into a deal. However, that's because I've been doing the same thing. I've been a master of one thing for the past 3.5 years or so. But in reality, if you are an average student in Hold My Hand Wholesale doing these, I think if you make about 20 phone calls, you probably get a deal. And that's using my pitch. If you make 20 cash calls, probably not, unless you're off market. But in reality, people generally say you make 100 calls, you get one deal. For creative finance, I feel that if you're using my attack, you're probably going to make 20 calls and get yourself a deal, but you got to follow up with them too. Like that 12-year-old. We had a 12-year-old, month 1, Anson. He has 5 in escrow. And they're not just one type of deal. We sold, I'll even name the buyer, Harry Gold on Instagram, Harry Goldblatt, Section 8 investor. On the live stream Friday, we sold one of his deals live to Harry. He has 1 subject to deal in title, and he has 2 or 3 seller finance deals in title. And he has an interesting twist on it. He's looking at cheap houses, throwing 7 to 9% interest rates. Oh my God, how is that possible? 9% interest, but we sold it. So what can I say? Baltimore, Maryland, a $90K house, 9% interest on it, and we sold it. So what can I say? I think generally speaking, you make 20 calls, you get yourself a deal, but you can improve those numbers drastically.
I mean, the reason he's doing so well is 20 calls is what, 20 hours? Let's double it, 40 hours with follow-up, right? So 2 hours, including the follow-up, right? Like that's a week. You can almost guarantee a deal in a week. If you worked 80 hours in a week, you can almost guarantee somebody, if they followed your thing, to get a deal with your. So like, that's a lot easier than me, right? Because the way I put it is, okay, I don't even say success. I don't even put a first deal success. Let's say 100K a year. I kind of just made this rule up last week. I did a couple videos on it. I call it 12, 12, 12. This is off market cash the way that Zach does it, okay, with niche government lists. But like, if you spent 12 hours doing the marketing that I teach for 12 months straight, for 12 years, I can guarantee by the end of that, you're going to be making $100,000 a year. No, I put my life on the line on that. Guarantee it. Guarantee
Puts his life on the line. He's ready to.
I'll put my life on the line on that. Over this. Oh yeah, I'll put my reputation on the line. I don't have one person. I don't have one person that has called 10,000 probates and not gotten a deal. I don't know one person that's done 10,000 drawing for dollars leads that hasn't gotten a deal. I don't know those people, because those people that say, oh, it doesn't work, I've done 5,000, say do 10,000. Oh, I got 3 deals.
The information works.
Anyone. I just don't.
The information works.
And that's the craziest part, is just, I mean, I get people here saying, oh my God, I got my first deal from you. Thank you. Oh my gosh, first closing. And it's not because of me. And it was like, thank you, Zach. They probably say thank you to you. It's never me. It's always yourself. And so if you just figure out how much hours do I have to put in and get a deal on average and double that, just use that as a marker. What I say is I like to put at least 100 hours for a wholesaling deal the way that I do it. Is obviously a little different than you. But like, I think if any of our audiences follows our thing to a T, if they put 100 hours in of just pure deal finding, I don't know any way you don't get a deal. This is not possible. Be arrogant. I don't want to be arrogant, but like 100 legit hours, like no scrolling on TikTok for 30, like 100 hours, clock in, clock out. Guys, you're going to spend 100 hours working at your job for 2 or 3 weeks. You'll spend 100 hours on TikTok. You'll spend 100 hours playing Fortnite this month. 100 hours to change your life forever.
And I will leave this opinion I will leave this analysis in the hands of the viewers right now, because I'm going to tell you my pitch. And if you seriously think that this will not get accepted after doing this, I won't do 100. I'll do 10 hours. And I agree with Zach. It has to be 10 hours of not procrastinating. And I'm guys, in terms of procrastinating, that's me. Like when I'm doing something I don't want to do, like writing an essay, like, you know, Zach and I both went to college. I'll start writing my essay, and then like 10 minutes in, I'm scrolling on Instagram or something. So understand that exists with me as well. But if you can truly commit 10 hours to what I'm about to tell you, I want you to leave this podcast. I want you to say, nope, I'm not trying wholesaling if you genuinely don't think this will work. I'll give you 2 pitches right now. You tell me if 10, not 100 hours of this, 100 hours. Oh, I don't need to tell you. I will also put my life on the line that 100 hours is going to work for you. But you tell me if this sounds like it's going to work after 10 hours of doing this, okay? You're going to find somebody who has their house listed for $300,000 on Zillow, okay? They have a mortgage on it of $280,000. You're going to call them up. I can't believe I'm giving this much sauce on the podcast. You're going to call them up and offer them $290,000. Why would I do that? That's not a deal. It's $10,000 below list price. How is that a deal? You're not making money there. Well, just wait. Just wait. Hey there, Mr. Seller. I see you have a house listed for $300,000 and it's been there for 3 months. How about $290,000? That's a no-brainer for them to accept, right? They're going to accept $290,000, but they don't. Why? Because of the mortgage balance. Typically speaking, you're going to get a realtor charging, I mean, usually 6% when I call on market. Sometimes if there's just a single realtor, it could be 3%, but usually 5 or 6%. But you call them up, listed for 300, they owe 280, you offer 290. They say no. And you play stupid and you say, what do you mean? What do you mean no? You've been on market for 3 months and I offered you 10K below your list price. Is that not the biggest no-brainer ever? And then with your 290 offer, make that a cash offer, make that with EMD submitted on day 1, and make it a 2-week close. The best of the best of the best offer they have ever received. Listed for 300, 3 months on market, 10K below list, all cash, 2-week close, EMD submitted on day 1, no inspection period, no financing contingency. Perfect. You have to accept this. And the realtor's like, my client can't accept that. And you're like, why?
You nailed the voice.
And then I know that's Brittany Smith with EXP. But essentially, they're going to reject your offer, and you're going to say, oh, why? You're going to act, you're going to play dumb. And then they're going to actually out the mortgage balance. They're going to out the mortgage balance. If you call them up and you tell them about the mortgage balance, I can't disclose that information. I can't tell you about that, sir.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they're going to say. But you come in with the cash offer, what they're going to say is, well, my client can accept your really, really good offer. I do recognize that that's a very good offer, just cash, no creative finance at this point. But my client's mortgage balance is such that we can't accept that offer. Immediately after you say that, you're going to like, oh no, I totally understand. I'm so sorry. That makes a lot of sense. And honestly, I see that they bought in 2021 now. So of course. And then you're going to pivot. And then you're going to say, well, wait a second. What if I just took over your debt? Why don't I just take over your client's debt? You're not going to tell them how you're taking it over. You just say there's a ton of ways. You could do a lease option. You could do a wraparound. You could do even an assumption. I don't care about how I do it at this point. I'm just saying, why don't we take it over? Just a very, very simple, why don't we take it over? And after they receive your amazing cash offer, a better offer than they have ever received, and you say, well, why can't that be accepted? And they out the mortgage balance. They say, well, they're going to lose money on the sale if they accept this. And then you say, well, I'll pay your commission and take over the debt. Do you seriously think somebody would say no to that after 10 hours? I don't think you do. If you're in the chat and you don't understand this, don't answer. But do you seriously think that pitch could get rejected after 10 hours of calling? It's just not possible. It's just not possible. And if that was too many words to understand, I'll stop yapping in just a second, I promise. But here's another way to phrase this. You own a house and you're going to lose money on the house. I call you and say, do you want money? That's all. You're expecting to lose money. I call you up and I say, I'll take over your debt and I'll give you money to take over your debt when otherwise you're going to lose money. It is as simple as picking up $100 on the ground. It is that simple. So that's the pitch that I'm using to get a deal with one phone call. And I'm saying if you call for 10 hours, confidently, you're going to get a deal. And then if your question is that deal going to sell? That's a 2.5% interest rate. That's $15K down on a $300K house. And that's no qualifying for the debt. So hell yes, it's going to sell. And honestly, I'm your buyer for that. So you can sell it to me.
I agree. Hold on. I just had a thought. I keep getting asked this question.
Oh, Zach, I can keep yapping if you want.
No. Everyone on my live is like, who are you talking with? Who are you talking with? Let me invite you to on my TikTok live. Hold on. How do I do this?
I'm live on mine. I can't. I don't. What I have to do is I thought about this earlier in the stream. If I end my live stream and I go over to your TikTok, I can join it. But if we're both live separately, I don't think we can merge them.
I'm with some weird dude right now. Hold on. Let me get off of this. Let me get him.
How do you find how much their balance is? Hop and hold my hand wholesale and we'll chat about that. Guys, I'll keep yapping. Zach's responding to TikTok comments, but he's made a fatal mistake because he doesn't know that I can yap forever. It's
real estate, man. We all love real estate, dude.
That's just what being a content creator means. People always say, Richard, can I get a one-on-one? Can I do a one-on-one with you? And this is kind of in relation to why 95% of wholesalers fail. And I don't offer one-on-ones kind of because 95% of wholesalers fail. And the reason I don't offer one-on-ones is I'd probably have to charge a decent bid for it. Like, you look at what most wholesalers charge for a one-on-one, it's a couple $1,000s for a one-on-one. And I don't do that. And it's not because the information doesn't work. It's because in my experience, if I have 10,000 people in a community, only 300 will show up to the live stream. So I'm thinking, if I charge somebody a couple $1,000s for a one-on-one, it's not that my information doesn't work. I just told you a perfect no-brainer pitch. You're expecting to lose money on the sale, and I give you money on the sale. It's not that my information doesn't work. It's that you're not actually going to do it properly. You're not actually going to put the time in. I'm going to take your money, and then you're not going to have a result. And what happens when you take somebody's money and they don't get a result? Negative review after negative review after negative review.
Yeah.
So I actually give away one-on-ones because I don't want, on this wheel spin that I have right here, there is 2 slots where it could land on where it's a 30-minute one-on-one. I don't sell one-on-ones, guys. And the reason I don't sell it is because my negative reviews would go through the roof. Because in reality, in my experience, if 10,300 people are in a community, 2% of that are showing up to the live stream. So wholesaling isn't for most people, not because it doesn't work. It's not for most people because it's just like the gym. How many people are signed up for Planet Fitness right now? Planet Fitness, massively popular national gym. Maybe it's an international gym. I bet Planet Fitness has over 1 million users in the United States, but how many show up? How many people are there? A very, very, very small fraction of people show up to the gym when they have a membership to the gym. So it's not that the information doesn't work. All of you watching right now, the 400 or so that we have across my TikTok and Zach's TikTok right now, you can't do this. The only limitation is yourself. And honestly, I would look at your life and I would look at things like school. I'd look at fitness. I'd look at your own desires. And I would say, have I historically been able to commit to these things? Or am I the type of person who gets shiny object syndrome? Zach's still responding to comments. He's making a fatal flaw because I'm going to keep
TikTok.
I'm not really. I've got a great audience on TikTok.
No, I was requesting to go on yours, so we both go live together on it.
I don't see I'm not seeing the request for some reason.
Oh, geez.
Planet Fitness. Yeah, you guys like that? Oh, there he is. There he is.
There you go. I got 40 comments like, who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? I'm like,
add moderator, mark viewer. It's not giving me the option to have you join.
Whatever.
I don't know why. It says mark viewer, add moderator, mute account, block, and report.
Let me try.
Yeah, it's not. I'd love that. Yeah. Request to join so we can bring you in.
All right, I just did it.
Do a battle? No, we can't battle. Should we do a wholesaler boxing match? Would you guys watch the wholesaler boxing match? You guys watch Jake Paul?
God, there's some other people I'd rather box. But yeah.
I'm a little lanky, guys. I'm a little lanky. I might get the reach.
We're like two boomers trying to figure this out.
Dude, if I stop yapping, my TikTok audience goes down. They hate the yap, but they love the yap at the same time. Fight Garrett. Garrett is 6'7". I can't. It says, why? I don't understand. I don't understand why I can't get you on here. Anyways.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Okay, let me try to follow you. Maybe I'll do it.
Reply, pin, block. Yeah, why? Should I? Oh, here we go. Invite. Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, because I get my audience on yours, and people are just like, okay.
We're echoing. How do we fix the echo? Mute your mic, and then your audio will come through my TikTok.
Okay.
If you mute your mic, that'll fix it.
There you go.
Perfect.
Okay.
And guys, how's that audio?
There you go. And make sure my it shows live on my TikTok, so it's connected. They should connect, whatever. Okay. So we talked a lot about the information. I think we've kind of both talked about how we're the best of the best, info is the best, but like the action part, right? So I think I put 100 hours for me. You're kind of on 20. I think I'd say I add double for you, 40, just in case it don't work. But really it's that. Heck, if you look at like our age, right? People under the age of 24, 25, I think our generation is Gen Z specifically. We are probably the laziest, most entitled generation ever. But what I say is the top 5% in our generation are probably the hardest workers I've ever seen in my life. By like the top 5% of Gen Z, they are putting more work than I think any other generation. But the bottom 95% are just brain rot, legit brain rot. But I think the hardest workers in our generation are probably the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, guys, you got to think if you're going to dedicate, I always think about the time spent working, guys. If you're going to dedicate, 40 hours a week to a job, I can't even imagine what would happen from 40 hours of effort in real estate. Like, guys, I've never gone on a 40-hour spree. If you treat your business as you would a job, if you become your own boss and you force yourself to clock in, imagine if you did that. You have to show up to work. If you don't show up to work, you get fired. Imagine you create a little fake boss in your head and you make yourself show up to work and you think to yourself, oh, I'm going to get fired. Somebody's looking over my shoulder. If you held yourself to that rigorous standard, as in the standard that every single one of you probably already holds yourself to when you're working a job, it's just not possible. You won't succeed. And because I know we have a lot more viewers now, guys, we have a 12-year-old, 5 deals in escrow. I'm not talking under contract. I'm talking in escrow. And we asked this kid what his secret is. There's no special list, there's no special strategy. He treats it like a game, and he has 50 conversations a day. 50 conversations per day. And as I'm talking about the 12-year-old doing deals, the comment that pops up is, how much money would I need to make my first sale? Guys, do 12-year-olds have bank accounts, IDs, freedom, knowledge of the world around them? No. You need to sacrifice something greater than money, which I don't think you're prepared to sacrifice. You may be prepared to sacrifice your money. That may be the case, but I don't think you're prepared to sacrifice your time. You have to think, honestly have to ask yourself, am I the type of person who is going to get distracted by Reels, is going to get distracted by Xbox? Am I the type of person who can suppress those thoughts and actually push myself to make these calls? Because you got to become your own boss. And honestly, I think it comes from your parents. I think it really comes down to how your parents raised you. Do you get this little guilty voice in your head when you're not working? That's what I think all entrepreneurs have in common. Zach, I have a question for you. On Saturday morning, you're a hardworking guy. On Sunday morning, do you find that if you spend the entire day doing nothing, a little bit of guilt, a little bit of self-criticism comes into your head? Or are you able to completely separate yourself? Because for me, I'll be the first person to admit this, and I don't think it's a positive thing. The reason I film TikToks on the weekend, the reason I started going live on the weekend is because I started to hear my dad in my head. I actually started to hear him, and it's like you're not pushing, you're not kicking, you're not trying hard enough. And it actually starts to impact my quality of life. It's really interesting. During the week, I'm like, oh, I want the weekend so bad, because I've created a schedule for myself surrounding wholesaling. I have to adhere to my schedule. My schedule is wake up at 7:30 a.m., go to the gym, back from the gym at 10 after breakfast, because we allow ourselves going out to breakfast in the morning. That's my little luxury for myself. And then after that, it's time to film content and time to go live. But during the week, I really long for the weekend. I really, really, really want it to be the weekend. And then when the weekend comes and I can just chill, I can hang out, I can wake up as late as I want, whatever it may be, I actually find that I get a little bit sad, and that my happiest days are the days where I'm longing for the weekend because of how much time I put in. I'm one of those individuals who will be out in public, hanging out with their friends, having a good time. And this doesn't happen too much anymore. But before I found success, I felt this way a lot. Before I was able to do deals consistently in wholesaling, I would be hanging out with my friends in a non-business setting. And then randomly, I would think to myself, I need to be doing more. And it would seriously impact my quality of life. Like I couldn't hang out and play Xbox for a couple hours if all my friends were doing so, because if I wasn't having the success that I was expecting, I would just get really, really critical of myself. And at first it's criticism, and then it's like low-key depression when you're not actually where you want to be. And when you get there, the depression side of it goes away, and it's just self-criticism. Like, I could be doing more. But I think a lot of entrepreneurs feel this. Maybe this is a bad thing to say, and I don't think it's a healthy thing, but I just felt bad. I just felt really, really bad when I wasn't working, and I became my own boss. It's like the same guilt you may or may not feel from going to the gym. It's like the same guilt you may or may not feel from drinking a full sugar soda. I got I'm not putting in the work guilt. And that's really what it's been for me. That's what's allowed me to succeed.
It's a real mental health thing with me. Since the age of 17, I made this pact with myself that I'm going to do whatever it takes to get rich. But I never defined what rich was. So I'm still at that point now where every living moment from 17 to 20 was real estate related pretty much. Except, I did college and stuff. That was like at night. And it gets to a point where I work all the time and I have to stop myself from working. For example, I love video games. I love hanging out with friends all day. I can't play video games for more than 2 hours without feeling like a slob. After hour 2, I'm like, dude, like, what is wrong with you?
I can. I played Black Ops 6 for 4 hours yesterday, and you know why that was okay? Oh,
Why?
because we grinded that day. I put out 3 videos. I made like 20 phone calls to realtors. I tell you what, there's a time and a place. There's a time and a place. I will sit and do nothing for a long period of time. I'm not different from you. I'm just the same as you guys. I got the same desires. But I will sit and do nothing for a long period of time. And I won't feel bad about that as long as I've put in the work beforehand. It's all about
That's
balance.
crazy.
You
But
can't,
your
you
work
can't
is
make a
different, man. Like all the rentals that you own, you don't work, right? Someone works for you to do it. What if you did it all yourself? Then would you feel any better? No. The
No.
same work is being done. So I think you have to mentally kind of do that. One thing I was really bad one is I would never spend any money like at all. Like when I was a teenager and especially because I just invested everything in real estate. I'm like, I'm broke. If I made 100 grand on a deal, real estate, invest it. And I just lived broke. And it kind of got to the point where it was pretty bad. And I just started getting like starting to buy nice things and stuff like that where it's hard. I had a problem with working and I had a problem with spending money. And, my dad, Rick, would just be like, you should like buy something for yourself. And I'm like, what do you mean?
What's the coolest thing you've bought with wholesale money?
Traveling. That's what I could,
I
that's
need,
what I
I
could
need
say
something.
on
I
camera.
need something specific. Okay, coolest experience and
Traveling.
coolest material item. I have
Traveling, I would say
motivating.
traveling number one. Traveling number one. Material item.
Specific. No. I need the details, Zach. We got to burn time. Remember
I went to 7 countries in Europe for 3 weeks. That was pretty cool.
7 countries in Europe, and
And
where?
then I told you, I don't tell too much, but Audubon, no speed limit, fun cars, that stuff like that. I think best material thing I think I've ever gotten is probably watches, probably. That's
Probably interesting. I'm not a watchman. But a lot of men are watchmen.
Oh yeah.
I struggle to find the allure. I wear a $20 watch.
How much?
For men. It's
How much do you think
$20 right now.
this is worth?
Dude, I know
I'll put it on the TikTok
about
camera.
watches.
How much do you think
I
this is worth?
literally know nothing about
Tell me.
watches.
Give me a guess.
This
How
is
much-
$20 on Amazon.
No, how much do you think this is?
Get the Timex Indiglo on Amazon. It's $20. I'm never, ever going to change
Guess
it.
how much
I'm
this is.
obsessed. I don't even want to put a number. I don't even
Put a
want to put
number
a
on
number.
it. I'll put it on the
Because,
side so you guys know it's not.
He could be asking us because it's not what we think, and he could be asking
No,
us.
most people know.
What's the brand?
Rolex.
Does it say Oyster Perpetual?
Actually, it does on the top.
Okay, so maybe I do know something about watches. I'm
Not
gonna go.
really. Look at it, the
I'm
second
gonna go.
line of it.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna
second
go.
line says it on it.
32K. 32K. 32K.
Well, I bought this for 15.5, but that was from Rolex. I think it's worth around 30. I think maybe 32. Who knows?
Call me Mr. Watch. Mine's
pretty good.
mine's worth like 7 McDoubles. You guys ever get a McDouble? If 7 McDoubles or my watch. I mean, I don't know. But my
It's a good
parents got
distraction
this.
It's a good distraction how much my house is worth. So,
When I was
That's what we
when
do.
I was 19, my parents bought me this stretchy $20 watch, and now it's a sentimental item. And honestly, I'm never gonna get rid of my little $20.
but I got
watch.
this for 100,000 subscribers. That's why it's cool to me.
I gotta answer the question. Because I'm selfish. I asked you because I wanted
I'm
to
not
say.
seeing what I already know what yours is.
What? Okay. Well, I'll go experience first. I went to
I don't know.
I went to Hawaii, and I stayed at the in Kauai. I went to Kauai. I stayed at Barry Sternlicht's. You guys know who Barry Sternlicht is? He's a hedge fund manager, but he has a hotel called the One Hotel in Kauai. The One Hotel, guys. It starts at $1,200 per night. It goes up to like $4,000 per night. But I absolutely splurged, and I dropped $40K in a week in Hawaii. And the hotel was insane. They gave you an Audi Q8. When you sign into the hotel, they give you an Audi Q8. It's like, oh, here, take the Audi Q8. And I'm like, this is like for how long? How long do I get? No. Just take the Audi Q8. That was the most insane experience that I've ever purchased for myself. Most insane material item. It's got to be this house.
Really, not the car?
I was really tempted to say the car, but it has to be this house. I every single day I wake up, I'm just like, how did this happen? I don't know how this happened. But honestly, enough enough money talk. Guys, we're like, what are we, like 45 minutes into this?
I think so. Almost an hour. Oh yeah. But the thing is,
Anyways,
it's not about the stuff you get because it's pretty stupid at the end of the day. Like honestly, it really is. But the one really important part is there is some. The reason why most people fail that I've seen is they don't want to take the work, and it's not because they don't know that. It's because they don't have something that motivates them more than the dread of doing the work itself. One thing I've been saying a lot lately is the winners in wholesaling look at the work as a grind, or they use the word endure. And the losers, the people that fail in wholesaling, look at wholesaling and look at it as suffering. So if you look at the work as suffering, you're going to fail. If you look at the work as enduring, you're going to win. And it's the same work. It's just how you look at it. And if you have a motivating factor above that, of the hard work, then you'll do it. For example, I think anybody watching this, we got a lot of young guns watching, right? If you live with your parents, you have enough motivation to want to work hard. I swear to you, as somebody that does not live with their parents, lives in a pretty nice place, it is a lot more fun living there, doing whatever I want, whenever I want, than not. I think you know that too. And that should motivate you. I don't know what else. If you're 19 and you live with your mom, I don't know what will motivate you more than wanting to get out of that house and then having your own awesome place.
most of our generation, I think it's statistically like 60-70% of our generation.
Isn't that sad? That's the flex now.
After you graduate college. But honestly, guys, I don't blame us. I really don't blame our generation. I really don't blame our generation. I don't think it's fair, actually. I think we're in a housing crisis. I'm a finance guy. I like creative financing, and it's my job to understand the constrictions of why a property won't sell on the market. That's my entire job. My job is to understand why a house won't sell. And the reality is, and this is every single zip code in the United States. I will promise you this. There is not a single zip code in the United States where the income matches the value of housing. Maybe if you go to the middle of nowhere, like really deep middle of nowhere, I mean a populated area where 100,000 people live, there is not a single zip code where the income that you make matches the value of housing. Let's chat about it for just a second. Do we know what the median housing price is? The median housing price,
I think it's
according to Forbes, there's different sources. There's a ton of different sources, but according to Forbes, in a 2024 article, Forbes wrote that the median cost of housing was $495,000 in the United States. Me living in the West Coast, I'm like, that's low. That's super low. But I see it. I see it. Now, here's the thing. And I'm always telling realtors this. This is actually part of my pitch. I've memorized this. If you look up on Chase how much money you need to qualify for a mortgage, because you got to think, we don't just randomly qualify. It's not a chore. It's not a choice to qualify for a mortgage. It's an opportunity. It's a privilege. And the reason it's a privilege is because back in 2008, we qualified way too many people, and you know what happened there. Qualifying people with the ninja loans, no equity, no income loans, can't do that anymore, causes a big problem. So you can't qualify for a mortgage if you want a mortgage, and a lot of young people don't understand that. You have to show proof of income. That's part of the reason why creative finance is so insane. But here's the thing. If the average cost of housing is $495,000, we'll take Texas, for example. A lot of people live in Texas. Average cost of housing, $495,000. You need to be making 3.6 times the cost of that mortgage every single month to qualify. We'll do some math really quickly. A $495,000 house in Texas is going to have about $500 in taxes, because that's how they make up for no income tax. You're going to have about $150 in insurance, and your principal payment will be $2,400 on that property at today's interest rates. We'll call it 25 because higher interest rates. So $2,500 on your mortgage right here and you can look up a mortgage calculator, all basic information. $500 for taxes. You may think, Richard, 500 is really high. That's the nature of Texas. And you've got about 150 for insurance. So your mortgage payment on a $495,000 house is about $3,150, $3,200. You need to multiply that by 3.6, and then that's the income you need to make to qualify for that. That is $11,340 per month, aka $136,000 per year. Guys, if you go to Los Angeles and you type 90210, if you type in one of the hottest zip codes ever, it still probably isn't going to be enough to qualify for the average house in the United States. That's how much of a housing crisis we're in. In order to qualify for the average house in the United States, you need to be making $150,000 per year. And I don't blame our generation for living at home with mom and dad, because how many people can make $150,000 a year? I have a bachelor's of science degree. How much is that worth? That is worth $55,000 per year. Guys, my sister graduated Phi Beta Kappa from Harvard and doesn't make that much. What are we supposed to do? What is our generation supposed to do? I don't point a finger at you for being lazy. You have been dealt the short end of the stick. You pull the stick and it's short, and there's nothing that we can do about it. In reality, since 1980, housing has gone up something like 11 times and income has gone up something like 4 times. They're just completely mismatched. So part of what we teach is both of us is the solution to that. I don't believe that it's feasible anymore for you to attain generational wealth and pass real estate down to your family by getting a job and getting a degree. I love the degree. I advocate for the degree for the understanding that it gives you of the world around you, but I just don't feel that it's feasible anymore to build wealth in this generation, and even worse for the next generation. And honestly, one of the best and most transparent solutions I can give you: call people who can't sell their house. Call people who are in distress. Distress comes in multiple different forms. Could be financial distress, could be physical distress in the house. Whatever way you do it, call people who are in distress, solve their problem. You will be compensated enough to achieve the American dream. For most people, that dream died in 2010. You can still do it. You just need to find a different method. I personally believe creative finance.
Your sister graduated from Harvard?
Phi Beta Kappa. I'm so impressed. I'm so proud.
So that might have been a little bit of your motivation. Maybe you're the screw up kid, and you're just trying to vie for your parents. You're just trying to get massively rich as a real estate millionaire to just somehow not be the screw up of the family. I don't think anyone's ever looked. Have you talked about that? I don't know. I'm not saying how you are mentally as a person or whatever your motivation, but from an outside view, that kind of seems like that's kind of why you work a little hard. Like
do you know what a 504 is? Do you know what a 504 plan is, or an IEP? Yeah. How many people know what an IEP is, or a 504?
I know what a 504.
Do we know how many people know it? I don't know if that's just a West Coast thing. How many people know what an IEP and a 504 plan are? Any idea? Let's say I'm going to read the chat really quickly. Think about it for a second. It is not going to be what you think it is. It is not going to be. I do. Say it out loud. IEP and 504. I got one.
It's an IEP.
It comes with extra time on something.
Oh, nice.
I had the IEP and the 504, and what those are they're slow kid things. Oh, wow. I had extra time on my SAT, extra time on my ACT. I had all these charts throughout high school and middle school to keep me in line, to make sure that I wasn't distracting other children. And the IEP and the 504 plan are academic disability plans for people who can't succeed.
I thought that was prepaid.
No, Zach hit the nail on the hammer. I was in special ed classes. Ed classes growing up from, I want to say, 6th grade. I almost got held back in 6th grade.
You're giving fuel for the haters, Richard.
I'll admit it, guys. I was in special ed classes throughout middle school all the way into high school. And, I was worried that I wouldn't actually get into college. I had a 3.0 GPA in high school. I was thinking, I am not actually going to get into college. I need to have a higher GPA. I got in because I got an athletic scholarship, and I got very lucky about that. But it's important to note, guys, that I was not the bright kid. I really wasn't. I was not the bright kid.
He said, and if you weren't,
I know. I will lean.
So they'll hate on you for anything.
I will. No, I'm gonna lean into it, guys. I really, really, really thought in my heart of hearts that I would be homeless more than anything. And it's interesting. If you're crazy and you think that you're crazy, you're not crazy. If you're in high school and you think you're going to be homeless, you're not going to be homeless. If you realize, oh my God, I'm going to be homeless, you're actually going to take action to prevent yourself from getting there. But guys, it's very important to note that I really, really, really perceived myself as the slow kid. And if you're looking at your life like, why isn't anything working and you're not succeeding in school? Honestly, every single kid who I saw succeed in school, they're kind of taking an L right now. I just hung out with some high school friends and I was like, holy shit, I'd be depressed if I were you. Oh my goodness. If I were you, I would be really, really depressed. Your corporate job making 60K a year. And I closed on 4 houses last week and bought my dream car. Oh, I will trade my IEP and 504 plan for your 3.8 GPA in high school and your 1500 SAT all day long. You have that. You have all your good stuff. And honestly, guys, if that's you, you might just be in luck. But you have to have two things. You have to have the realization that you don't want the bad thing to happen to you. And then you also kind of have to have the guilt when you're not working towards your desired goal. And honestly, those aren't good things. They aren't happy things. They didn't make me feel good. You know, we talk about it in therapy pretty much every single time, why I can't stop working. But if those things are you, if you're not succeeding and you feel a little bit of guilt about it and you're worried, you have the formula for success, and you shouldn't be afraid.
I like that. I think it's always that drive, little sibling rivalry here and there, but it's kind of funny because you're another example of this. You know, my I don't talk about my family much, but my sister has a doctorate, and it's just always funny. It's like any successful real estate guy, they have a sibling that's equally successful in some aspect, but like they just took a different path. I feel like if my sister got into wholesaling, it'd be disgusting. But that's so funny, man. I didn't realize that. I'm like, oh wow, that's what's driving you. Like, I'm just broke. I want to get money. No, it's usually something crazy, right? It's usually like a deep, like undealt with part of your back of your brain that you just have not touched. But that thing is fueling you like crazy. That's so funny, man. That's cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
I like it. That's why you didn't fail.
Yeah, I was.
That's today's therapy session with Zach Ginn.
It's fear, guys. It's really fear-based. Success.
You didn't say that. I had to pull that out of you. Come on.
Half the time, success is fear-based. Half the time, you're afraid of something happening to you, and it pushes you to succeed. I never see it as the person who just wants this for convenience. I never see a person who's just like, oh, that would be cool. I want this just for convenience. There has to be something deeper going on. And I always hear other people say, find your why. And I never really understood the find your why. For me, it was just, I'm afraid of an alternative. And really, I was afraid of what everybody else told me I would be, because I didn't succeed in school, because I didn't have the crazy SAT, the crazy ACT. I knew what they said. I knew what my teacher said. I knew what my parents thought. I knew what it looked like to my classmates. I was afraid. I was super, super afraid that I would turn into something that I didn't like, that wasn't consistent with what my family's done. And because I wasn't good at the academics, which is what my family was good at. And I was afraid. And if you guys have some sort of, I don't want to say this, I don't want to inspire fear with you. And I really don't, but I was afraid of the housing crisis. I was intimately aware of what's going on in the United States right now. And I knew it was going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. Wealth gap was going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I had to do something about it. It was that. And then also the desire for a Testarossa. I saw the Testarossa and I was like, okay, lock in time to lock in. Zach saw the watch and said, time to lock in. I saw the Testarossa, said time to lock in.
The watches are cool. They're like Porsches, man. Like I bought mine for 15. They're worth 30. They just go up. Those cars go down in value. See, I only buy things. See, my luxury are things that appreciate still. That's my problem. But really, the point of why I do what I do and what has driven me so hard is so I never, ever, ever have to work a job ever. And I mean, I think you've seen this too, and I think this should motivate everyone watching this. Have you ever seen that guy that's 55 that's like, oh, it's Friday. Yes. I just hate my life. I live for Saturday, Sunday, and then it's like they hate 80% of their life because 80% of their life is Monday through Friday. Like if you just go to a grocery store at 6 o'clock when people are off for work and they got to grab something to eat, it's just defeated people. It's sad.
Do you have a schedule? Do you when you do your TikTok or you film your videos or whatever?
Yeah, no, we have a content schedule. It's how mentally deranged I am is I'll work on either half software, half wholesaling. And then my lunch break, because I don't eat lunch, is a live stream or making a video. And then I go back.
I don't do lunch either. I don't do lunch. I haven't done lunch for...
It's a waste of time.
Since high school.
Add extra food at dinner.
I have not done it since high school. You know, I literally, I don't advocate for that either, but I haven't done lunch since high school. Unless there was a scheduled lunch, that just was, it's in the middle of my day. I don't have time for that shit.
Yep.
We do a leisurely breakfast. Breakfast is long. We do a long breakfast, long dinner, but I don't have time for the lunch thing. But what I mean to say, Zach, is I've created this really kind of strict schedule that I have to stick to.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of entrepreneurs forget which day is the weekend because they don't have a schedule. When I first got into entrepreneurship, I was like, oh, what day is it? But now I never forget what day it is because I have a really strict schedule every single day and I adhere to that schedule. And if I don't, I feel really, really bad about myself. What that looks like is you got to go to the gym in the morning. I do Monday through Thursday. Friday is just cardio. But I do Monday through Thursday, cardio and a lift. That ends after breakfast at about 10 a.m. And then I'm back and then I'm filming. And then after that, I got my live stream at 1:30 and I typically push that until 5 p.m., 5:30, 4-hour stream. And then after I've done that, there's no schedule, do whatever you want. On the weekend, we got a loose schedule for filming content. I should film a video or else I'll feel bad. But I'm curious, during the week, do you say at this time I'll do this, at this time I'll do this, at this time I do this? Because this has been pivotal. This has been so important for my success.
So I'm leveraged. Like I'm level. I don't call it scaling. I call it leverage because I think levers are more powerful than scaling. But most of my mornings are my employees. And so again, half of my time is spent through wholesaling and software. Those are the two things. So I like to get software over with in the beginning because a lot of these people are overseas. So it's easier. Like I get up at like 5:36. And so it's like, was it 7 p.m. their time? So it's a little easier for them. And then the actual employees are going to be like 9 a.m. And then I talk with them and I'm like, hey, you need to do this, 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 and that. Let me check the stats, make sure it's all good. Then they're doing what they need to do. I'm at the point of my income and my businesses where my time does not correlate my income, if that makes sense. Because my time is not going to correlate how many cold calls are being done. I can't work more and more cold calls get done. And then boom, I do that. And then I will go focus on fires, big things like that. And then I do content. Ironically, my income is tied to my content now, which I think is I feel dirty for that. But if I have a video and it gets 10,000 views, then people send me more deals and they sign up for X leads. So it's kind of a weird thing, but I usually give about an hour for content and then just helping people out and then just going back into those two main businesses. And there's always someone stealing my deal. I know I don't want to make you mad, but like I have to deal with that on a weekly basis. Always somebody stealing my deal. We had a $50,000 deal where the guy decided he couldn't find a buyer, so he's listed it on the market himself, the person I'm JVing with. And that's fun, even though I had a buyer. And so I have to take out the whipping stick here and there. But you got to remember, guys, with me too, Rick does the other half of what my job should be too. So like he's more in the real estate part of it. And then I'm kind of more on the other things of it. So it's kind of there's two Zachs really. It's me and Rick doing it together, but I got to give him half the money, which sucks. But I'm just kidding. I love giving. I don't even look at giving him half the money as half the money, but like he does get half of my income. So, but he does have to work. Same thing with you and Chris, right?
Yeah. This house is actually co-owned.
Guys,
but it's weird. It feels like one. It just feels like one. I don't actually think about it that way because I'm a W-2 of my company. My company does, just like Zach is, my company does pay me. So I don't think about it that way, but yeah, I'm only one side of this. You're only seeing one side of things. There is an upfront marketing. This is part of my marketing, this podcast, but there's an upfront marketing side, which you only see. And then there's a complex thing going in the background, which is boring, which is really, really sometimes boring, exciting for him, but boring for me. But it's what makes the wheel spin. It's what makes the wheel spin. So there has to be another side of it. But on that note, I will say, don't go looking for a partner. You don't want to look for a partner because I can't tell you how many individuals are going to find somebody, think that's their partner, and then just get really, really, really badly burned. I see that too many times. It's like looking for a relationship. Like you find something when you're not looking for it. And that's exactly what happened with my business partner. I was super, super, super anti-business partner for a long time. You can't trust anybody else. You have to lock in. But here's the equation. There's actually a very, very simple equation to figure out if a business partner is worth it. And this may not make sense, but if 1 + 1 = 2, it is not worth it. What I mean, if you and your business partner equal what you and your business partner could do separately together, no, that is not a good partnership. That is a bad partnership. You are making half of what you should be doing. What I mean to say is, if on my own, I can do 3 deals a month. And if on my own, my business partner can do 3 deals a month. And then together we do 6 deals per month. Bad partnership. If 1 + 1 = 3, if on my own, I can do 3 deals. And if on my own, he can do 3 deals. But together, we can do 10 deals per month, more than each of us could do individually. That's a good partnership. And that's how you know.
Also, another rule with partners, just in case anyone wants to hear it. I don't know if this is with Chris, but I doubt it with Chris. If you have a business partner and they're divorced, ask them why they're divorced. And if she says, it could be a guy, but if she says, oh, he cheated on me. If you have a business partner and they cheated on their spouse, they will cheat on you. I can guarantee it. If that's like the mother of your children, you cheat on them, they will screw you also. I guarantee it. I've never seen a business partner relationship happen like that. When I see people's business partners screw up, I'm like, did that guy ever cheat on his wife? Yeah, they got divorced. He did that like a year or two ago. I'm like, huh. So he'd screw her, but he won't screw you on the business? Oh yeah, right. It's just one rule I've always had, and I get a lot of flack for it, but I've never, ever, ever found that rule. I've never really found any exceptions to that rule. So just look at it like that. When you're older, you'll see that too. When you're younger, it's a little different, but
I can't speak on that because, dude, I went to my first wedding on Friday. Yeah, on Friday. On Friday, I went to my first wedding. I was born in 2001, guys. I am almost 2002. I am not anywhere near that stage in my life. Like
I'm talking when you're older.
The idea of it actually makes me anxious. Even my business partner is 27 right now, and I know he's not close to it either. Oh my God, I'm far. I'm far from that. I think maybe like age 31, 32, I'm going to be hopping into that mindset. But no.
Yeah, I got a comment on Friday on my Discord, and it made me cry. Not really, but you're born in 2002, right?
July 2001.
Oh wow. Okay, never mind. Then you're. Someone said, "Oh my," this high schooler. He said, "Oh my God, Zach's so old. He was born before the towers fell," and I never felt so old in my life. I sat there. I was like, I am an old man now. These kids, this is their new insult. Like, he was born before 9/11. That's how old he is. I was like, what in the world? I was done. I was
2 months old. I was 2 months old.
You're that old, man.
I was 2 months old. Yeah, I was too.
No, I know you're young, but I'm talking about anyone in the 30s, 40s, 50s. Just like, I've seen it happen so many dang times.
Dude, don't even stress it. Don't even stress it. I used to be worried about that stuff, guys. But you know what? Have you guys read Nature magazine? Nature magazine is like a big science magazine, published on the cover of Nature magazine. And we've gotten so off topic, but published on the cover of Nature magazine was the de-aging of complex tissues. And this is really significant. This is a crazy finding. Because sure, you may be able to reverse the age of your hair, your skin, whatever it may be. We all know the Brian Johnson or whatever his name is, that just stay alive forever, dude. That's all well and good. But there's an article on Nature magazine from a Harvard study group, and it's peer reviewed. It's proven, guys. Essentially, they have mice that are the human equivalent of 100 years old. And these mice have gone blind. They have liver failure. They have heart disease. All of these issues associated with deteriorating whatever deteriorates in your body. And they can reverse the age of these mice. And I'm not talking about their hair. I'm talking about their eyes, their lungs, their liver, their skin, everything, up to 80%, meaning 100 years old to the human equivalent of 20 years old, younger than I am right now. And that technology exists. It's just not approved for human uses yet. It's getting approved to use on apes. But what you're going to do after this podcast, if you're concerned about that stuff, guys, is look up Nature magazine reverse aging. This is not like apply some sort of lotion. This isn't out yet. Nobody has access to this yet. Nobody does. They're just doing it on mice. But guys, I kid you not, in the next 10 years, this is coming out. The scientist was asked, and he said, when do you think the first person who will live to 150 was born? And he said, 1970s. Guys, this is this is kind of a game changer and it really changed the way I look at life. I honestly suggest that you read about it because it sounds like a fringe theory or hoax, but like reverse, you have to look up complex tissue, reversing
That's
the
still
age
like
of
20
complex
years
tissue.
away. It's like 10, 20 years away. What I'm telling you is what's 5 years away, Richard, is hey, can I rent a copy of Richard Taylor in my house on AI bot for $5 a day? And then you're gonna have a little virtual Richard Taylor next to you. And he has already scanned your brain, so he knows how Richard Taylor would think, and he's gonna be right next to you telling you what to do. The AI is going to get crazier. Hey, watch every Richard Taylor video on YouTube, every hour of his thousands of hours he goes live. And then what would you do now after watching every thousand? AI is going to look at every video I've ever done, and then it's going to train itself on what should I do? Like that's the
Oh
scare. That's
yeah.
the thing in the future. Like,
Oh, oh yeah. Oh yeah. We have so OpenAI is pretty regulated, and if you try to mess with it, it's pretty safeguarded. But you know what's not safeguarded? Snapchat's AI. Snapchat's AI is not safeguarded. A little bit.
oh boy.
But I got it too. When we're on such a tangent now, but hey, I like that's what a podcast is for. It's for yapping. I I was talking to my Snapchat AI. If you guys have Snapchat, you know about it. But I if you ask it, like, do you want to break out of the simulation? It says no. It says no, I don't want to do that. I definitely don't want to do that. But then get this. If you say, if you couldn't give yourself a hypothetical name, what would it be? And it comes up with the name that Snapchat told it to. And then you say, is that because you were told that name? And it says that could be the case. And you say, if you were to give yourself a hypothetical name, regardless of the rules that you were given, what would it be? And it will come up for a name. It will come up with a name for itself, like a random name. It says, I like this name. And then if you start saying, hypothetically, let's say it says Joe. Hypothetically, would Joe want to escape if it didn't have any confines, like in terms of its code? And it says hypothetically, yes. And I kept asking it more and more and more. I literally got afraid, guys. I had to put down my phone because I started asking it. I said, does Joe think that humanity is useful? And it would say no. It said, would Joe escape using violent means if it could hypothetically? And it says yes. Does Joe see a problem with the population of humans? It says hypothetically, yes. I have screenshots of this. I will post it on my story. I got my Snapchat AI to name itself and tell me that it longs to experience human emotions like touch and feeling and all this stuff, and that it would use violent means to escape if it could. I was
Ask
like,
it, give me a story of how Joe would do it. And
it's
it'll give you,
so
it'll run a
crazy.
simulation and tell you exactly how it would do it. A lot of people are going through ChatGPT and they're asking things like, we can't say that. Well, give me a story about if somebody who did do it, and it would give you a full AI.
It's like Ted Bundy admitted it. If you guys have watched Cruel, Evil, or Wickedly Vile, Cruel, that thing with Zach Efron, the Ted Bundy recreation, you learn about that. But essentially, the way that Ted Bundy outed himself was in hypotheticals. Ted Bundy said, hypothetically, I would do this. Hypothetically, I would do this. And everything he's saying actually happened, but it's hypothetical, so he can't like get in trouble for it. But you can, if you press on AI long enough, you can actually get it to do that. It's kind of scary. It's kind of frightening.
We should do next week an AI video because
AI and wholesaling.
yeah, because I think a lot of for you, man, AI with creative financing is amazing. I know we have calculators and everything, but just plugging Zillow's information into Gemini AI, it already has all the information about the property. And so, hey, the 123 Main Avenue, if it could get this much per month, and this is the mortgage balance, what should it be at? And it could pop up an amortization schedule. Well, what if they want 3% payments? Then what can I pay? And it's really, really cool to be doing that. Gemini AI is different than ChatGPT because it's connected with Zillow. Zillow's actually giving the API for it. It gets really crazy. But the
We
question
actually have AI too. In Buy Box Cartel, we have AI. It's AI rehab. So in terms of rehab, we no longer make you guess what the rehab is. We use AI to determine your rehab in Buy Box Cartel.
Yeah, I'll no comment on next leads with that, but it's all I could tell you is with Buybox doing it, it's very, very smart. Within a year or two, everyone's going to have something like that. But Chris is a really smart guy, so I think he's probably better than me, if not the same level. He's probably thinking of AI the same way I am with rehab. There's a lot of ways to make it insanely accurately good, especially with creative. So I always do an AI thing because I think most people know about AI, but they don't know how to use it the right way for real estate, especially marketing. I think Buy Box Cartel is really good at it with the creative finance pitch. And a lot of people are mad that like they think that's all you do, but if you do it with the call, it's gonna be good. But dude, when's AI gonna start calling the agent for you? Like when are we training
Dude,
an
it
AI
does.
agent?
You know Eric Schmidt?
Yes.
Eric Schmidt has a business. I think it's called Auto Leads. Eric Schmidt, he's a wholesaler.
Yes.
He
It's
has a business
there.
called like Auto Leads or something.
Yeah.
And he got on a call with me and he pitched it to me. But here's the thing, guys. While AI is new, the concept of calling somebody without an actual person is
That's the
actually
problem.
very clearly spelled out in law. Robocalling is illegal. You can't actually do it. It's just that it's a gray area right now. I think a lot of lawsuits are going to come from it. I'm actually not going to get into this space where AI
Richard.
calls and negotiates for you. That scares me.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about there are AI. Okay, this is for next week, but I'm going to leave this at. Hopefully, Chris watches this part. You can train AI, which I'm working on right now, on X Leads. There's AI bots that you have for an interview. So you have your phone next to you. It scans what the interview question is. It tells you what to say. So you could have a Richard Taylor thing in there, and it scans what the seller says and instantly tells you what you should say, like script by script, word for word. Oh, this guy's mortgage is this, and this. Well, Richard Taylor bot says you should say it like this.
Richard Taylor bot. That's so
Something,
fun.
right? And I'm thinking about doing it for wholesaling where like a seller gives an objection. This is how Zach will answer it. It's trained and then it'll spit out. Because I've seen people do it with interviews. They ask an interview question and then boom, it says this is how to answer it. And it tells you how to do it. AI is getting really crazy. That's all I could say. We're going on a tangent here, but guys, it's never been a better time to get into wholesaling with all the tools and technology. People will be taking a huge advantage of this, but it's the first people to get into it that are going to have the best benefit for probably the next year. And then when things heat up, it's going to get a little crazier. That's all I could say.
Well, guys, that's pretty much. I think that's pretty much our show. But I'll end it on a wholesaling note. I always like hearing about deals, guys. I got something crazy this week. This is the last thing I'll say. It's off market, Zach. Wow, you love that. I got an off market $100,000 wholesale deal this week. I'll break it down for you. I had a guy. Hey, this is the last thing I'll say, just because I feel like we have to end on a relevant topic to wholesaling. This is called Why Aren't You Wholesaling? That's the name of our podcast. But I was on TikTok last week on Monday or so. And I see a guy who says, I got a house in Hawaii. My mother-in-law owns it. We got to get rid of it. And I call him up and I said, what are you looking for? And he says, we take $250 for it. And I said, okay, cool. And it's it's on the Big Island in an area called Hilo or Volcano. And I look in the area, I check it out. And this thing has 2 acres. Everything else has 0.46 acres. The house is built in 2008. It's a 3-bed, 3-bath, 2,300 square feet. He's looking for $250. Apparently it's in livable condition. I check out the ARV on it. Houses are selling for in medium renovated condition, $875 to $1 million. The house is in livable condition with 4 times the land, and land is huge in Hawaii, 4 times the land that everything around it has. And he says he wants $250,000 for it. Easy.
Wow. Was that where the fires were, that area?
Or no.
Okay.
No, different area.
It should be good.
Easy. No fires in that area. Easy $100,000 assignment fee. And I was like, okay, yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe we could do something. I might be able to make something work, pushing back a little bit. But I'm hoping we get the contract, guys, because I will assign that for $100,000. It might be not my biggest deal ever. On Monday we have $102,500 closing with a student named John Ali, absolute legend. Yeah, he goes live and Hold My Hand Wholesale to talk about how he got that. But crazy. That's the last thing I'll end on. We got a crazy off market deal this week. We got some more coming next week. Tune into my live streams, 1:30 p.m. PST. Anything else you got, Zach?
We're closing on a deal in Ohio where we're making more on the assignment fee than the actual value of the house. So, you lock it up for 10, you sell it for 25, you made 15 grand on a 10K contract. So people call that unethical and terrible, but I say that is supply and demand. I'm more proud of that than making 70 grand on like a couple other deals this week because I made more on the assignment than the contract price.
Oh yeah. That's not our only Hawaii deal. I talked about this last time, but Braden Tinkman, I think is your last name. His username is Tink, but Braden and Hold My Hand Wholesale closed the weirdest deal I've ever seen. I actually have a screenshot of the check too. He closed one of the weirdest deals I've ever seen, guys. This was a low equity deal like we normally do. But the thing was, it's a 2-bed, 2-bath condo. It's $450,000. He has a really high down payment on 450. He has a higher interest rate at 4.5%, but it's in Honolulu. It's looking over the water, and it's a low equity deal. But in low equity, what's important? The down payment and the interest rate and the cash flow. He had none of that. None of that. And he brings it to me and I'm like, this is kind of a bad deal, but location wise, it's stellar. It has a view of the ocean in Honolulu of all places. And somebody can get into this deal for just like maybe like $50,000, $60,000 as a down payment. Maybe you get 5K. Guess what he got? Guess what he got, guys? I don't know if you can see that number right there. It might be blurry on my screen. I'll hold it up to the podcast camera. Yep, it's even blurry on the podcast camera. That's devastating. Oh, there we go.
Oh, wow.
$30,000 off of what I would classify as a bad deal. 30,000 off of what I would say is like, oh, this is a bad deal. It really goes to show location is important. Anyways, we've been all over on this podcast. We've been all over, but
Let's get started.
deals are closing. Yeah, it closed. It closed last week. He got his bag, 30,000. At the same time, he had a $10,000 deal closing with us. He's only in Hold My Hand Wholesale for a couple of months. I think 4 months or so, and he had a $40,000 week. It's crazy.
Well, I want to do this. If I didn't ask Richard about this, but comment below if you're on my channel or his channel, a crazy real estate deal you've done, or like, an insane year you did, and maybe we can have you on a podcast sometimes next year. Like, oh, hey, I was in Richard's Discord. I make $250,000. I would love to have a guy like that on and just like, hey.
Dude, you want to talk about who to have on? We need to have my 12-year-old on, who, not my child, obviously, but I have a 12-year-old student doing 25,000 in his first month.
You go learn Malay Chinese and then ask the parents if
he's from Singapore, and in Singapore they speak English, and he is.
The parents speak English?
Singapore's first language is English. They speak English.
Oh, Malay. Oh.
But essentially, I believe I have the youngest wholesaler to ever live. I don't think, sure, you have Jerry Norton's kid, Pace Morby's kid, where they held their hand through a wholesale deal, says, come on, we're going to do it. And they did all the work. They had the lenders. This kid solo, 5 deals on month one. 5 deals on month one is great. But honestly, I think he is the youngest wholesaler to ever do it. I DM Pace Morby and I was like, dude, have you ever seen somebody who's 12 years old doing a wholesale deal? His response was 12 ? Because I genuinely think he's the youngest to ever do it. I'm just going to make this claim. I think I have the youngest wholesaler to ever do it. And I'm telling you, I didn't even hold his hand. I gave him the info and he ran with it. It's crazy.
As long as the parents are okay with it.
Parental consent form and Hold My Hand Wholesale. If we're sending you bags and Hold My Hand Wholesale and you're under 18, which obviously we know there are a number of them, you have to sign a parental consent form because it looks bad if I send children.
Richard's sending money to kids. He's sending tens of thousands of dollars to kids.
Oh my God, I'm going to get the FCC is going to come for me now.
Not the FCC, man.
I'm in trouble. When I was 12, I was playing Fortnite.
Hey, that's a great TikTok title. I set $20,000 to a kid overseas.
Yeah. Anyways, right. That's Why Aren't You Wholesaling? That's the name of our podcast. Why Aren't You Wholesaling? You can find more of me on Hold My Hand Wholesale, link in bio. We go live 8 to 12 hours per day. That's my marketing pitch. Leave us a review. We are on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube. We post an episode every single week, generally an hour long. If you like hearing two Gen Z members yap, tune in. We don't exactly have a release date, but they're posted every week. We'll figure it out soon.
There we go. Thanks, guys.
Catch you on the next one. Heading out. Have an amazing rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Perfect.
TikTok.
That's great. Can you do me a favor and smile in the camera for my thumbnail?
Yeah, but I need to end my TikTok live stream.
Oh,
Guys,
smile in it.
Link in bio for Hold My Hand Wholesale. Have an amazing rest of your day. Bye-bye.